What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Meaning of Podcast. I am Ace.
It's RB3.
And this is the podcast where we dive into your favorite film directors and we talk about the deeper meaning within their films. And this time we are doing a director that RB3 is actually a very big fan of RB3.
Yeah.
I'm not just making that up this time.
You're not making that up.
It is Mr. Danny Boyle.
Yes.
Famous British director. He's done a lot of movies and he's done very different movies.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a very interesting conversation, to say the least. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts, especially because you're like a self-proclaimed Danny Boyle fan.
Danny Boyle's my guy.
When I texted you, you were like, oh, man, I love Danny Boyle. And I'm like, that's perfect. That's what we need. We need love.
Yeah.
This is what we need in the world. It's love.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into all of his films. But before we do that, as we always do, we're going to be reading the comment section from last week's, which is Westworld. We decided to do another TV episode, and we did it with Westworld.
Yeah.
Which is a fun show that everyone should check out.
I don't know if it's fun, but you should check it out.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
Fun. It's the right word to use.
Thought-provoking to say at least.
So if you want, guys, and if you want your comment read on this show, all you have to do is go over to Collider Podcasts, the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And comment on our video, and we might read your comment. And by maybe, I mean probably will read your comment. So leave us a comment, and you never know, you might get selected to be the lucky few who get their comment read on this show.
Imagine you enter the lottery, but you have a 90% chance of winning. And that's what this is.
That's what it is.
So comment.
And you can have your fake username
yeah.
being read, such as Baron of Hell.
Hey.
Shout out to Baron of Hell. He says, you should play Detroit or watch a Let's Play of the game. Have you played Detroit, RB3?
No, I've heard that. Detroit Becoming Human, right?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah. I've seen people react to it. I haven't actually played it, but interesting. Yeah, that's the whole movie about. Excuse me. Oh my God. Jesus, am I getting the flu or something? Anyway, you know, we're talking about Blade Runner last week. How's the android, or I guess more of RoboCop? Is that what the choice about?
Oh, I have no idea.
I don't really know what the plot of it is, but yeah.
So either way, Cyberpunk.
Have you seen Upgrade?
Upgrade. I haven't. How is that?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna watch it, but I was watching Danny Boyle. I was doing my homework, RB3.
Oh, really?
Like a good student.
Is that true?
I'm not lying. So I went on YouTube, which is usually where I rent my movies to watch. And I was like, all right, should I rewatch Sunshine, which I briefly saw and I barely remember, or should I watch Upgrade? That was a decision I had to make. And it was really late because usually I would just be like, why not both? But it was 2 in the morning.
Right.
So I'm going to start a movie at 2 in the morning. It's got to be 1. And I chose Sunshine. I was a good student, RB3. But I haven't seen Upgrade, and I want to see Upgrade. So.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I don't know if it's a good movie. It's a good action movie. And not really.
That's all I need, RB3. It's a good action movie. FilmFan945 says, great show, lads. Shit got me for a bit. Any plans to cover John Carpenter? Cheers.
Ooh, John Carpenter's here.
Shit got meta for a bit. That's what he says.
Oh, meta. Oh, okay. What'd you say before?
I love meta. It got me. I forgot the other part.
Oh, okay. Got meta, yeah.
Got to. Either way, John Carpenter.
John Carpenter.
That's another guy who has got a lot of movies.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So if we're gonna do him, we're gonna have to
we might need a little assistance.
double down.
Yeah.
Oh, if we're gonna do John Carpenter, we have to bring someone in who's a John Carpenter fan.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure we can find him, right? I mean,
yeah.
If you have ideas of someone,
I think we know who's the biggest great John
do
Carpenter
we?
fan. Yeah.
Who?
I mean, of course, Copster.
Yeah.
He made a whole short film about.
That was gonna be my choice too.
Okay, there we go. Boom. So if we ever do John Carpenter, we should do that for Halloween. We were gonna do that for last Halloween.
Oh yeah, I mean for October we should do a freaking horror theme, horror film directors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or at least the vast majority of their films are horror.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a fun.
So we did a whole one on horror movies before.
Oh, that's right, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we could figure out the individual.
Yeah.
We could maybe do. We're saving James Wan for Aquaman. But
James Wan, man.
Figure it out.
Everyone keeps telling me to watch The Conjuring, and I will not watch it. Adtia Tiwari says, absolutely, Ace. Prometheus is amazing. Thank you. I do believe it is amazing. I love that movie. It is legitimately still one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's still one of the movies that impacted me the most.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a real love. It's real love that I have for that movie.
I feel
I'm gonna get an engineer tattooed on my side.
Oh, shoot, the whole...
Just see an engineer just
Yeah,
throwing up the
body.
peace sign.
Yeah. Like, the people might think it's like Dr. Manhattan or something, you know?
What's up?
You might like mistake it for Dr. Manhattan.
Oh, yeah. No, the engineers, that suit that they have is super freaking dope. I mean, obviously, I'm a massive Giger fan. And his art style, is just like, if I could, I would do it from head to toe. Just like a Giger tattoo style all over my body.
I feel it.
Guy Cole says, actually, it's confirmed that Valkyrie is still alive and probably Korg also. Yeah, Valkyrie's still alive. I think we said, maybe that the Asgardians were...
Oh, we're talking about Infinity War.
Well, we're talking about Infinity War, and I said, it kind of undid Thor Ragnarok.
Right.
Which you agreed to. But I think Guy Cole is trying to say, like, not every Asgardian died, so... It's true. Valkyrie's still alive, and I just watched the Infinity War commentary.
Yeah.
And they were like, Valkyrie's still alive, and pray for Korg. That's their words.
Pray for Korg?
They said pray for Korg. Hashtag pray for Korg.
Damn,
and I was very upset. I was like, you better confirm that he's alive. Otherwise, I'm going to be very upset.
Korg didn't survive that. That's The Rock, right? How can you kill a Rock? Can't you just put them together? Or?
I mean, you can't actually kill Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah.
But if it's like a rock alien, it's possible.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, if you shoot The Rock, it's like bullets just bounce off.
I was mad confused when you're talking about Valkyrie and Korg. I was like, what the fucking movie is he talking about? I was like, you talking about Valkyrie with Tom Cruise, directed by
funny
Bryan
enough,
Singer?
she's in Westworld. Tessa Thompson.
She is in Westworld.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Hey.
That's the connection, man. That's
Connect
what
the
we're
links.
here for.
Yeah.
Aaron Brooks says, great show today, guys. Glad RB3 loved Westworld as much as I did. Low views and comments, but high amounts of love.
Hey,
Thanks for reminding us. Aaron, no, I'm kidding. Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah. Low comments are better than no comments.
Hey, get that on a t-shirt, man.
Yeah.
Gunslinger 199 says first season of Westworld was great. The second season was all over the place. It was slow, the characters were unlikable, and the philosophical stuff was so pretentious. It's a bad finale when the interview after the end of the hype is much more of the future of the episode itself. Yeah, that's right. They did give a lot away. It's like what you just watched is explaining. I showed you that.
You showed me that, yeah.
Lisa Joy interview where she basically tells you, what did I just watch? If you want to find out what you just watched, watch the behind the scenes of Westworld that HBO gives you.
I was mad confused.
Lou Bloom is going after you, RB3.
Lou Bloom, he's always going after me,
for that Blade Runner 2049 hate.
Because I'm right?
Yeah, he says, come on, RB3. Not everything in a movie needs to be relevant to the plot. Joy is essential to get to know the K as a character. Saying that 2049 would be the same without her is crazy.
I don't know what's
straight up
so
call
crazy.
you crazy.
I don't
bro.
know what's crazy about that. That movie's 2 hours and 45 fucking minutes, yo. 2 hours and 45 minutes. Can you believe how long that movie is? The original Blade Runner is only 2 hours, man. The original Blade Runner is only... And people are like, oh, the original Blade Runner feels slow. Oh, it's only 2 hours, but it feels like it's like an entire day. This movie, are you kidding me? Blade Runner 2049?
This movie's like 2:45.
Are you kidding me?
It's like almost 3 hours.
This movie's like a week. Are you kidding me? I literally left the theater like, damn, I've really been here. Like, that's 3 hours. That's 3 episodes of Westworld right there, bro. 3 episodes of Westworld I watched. And Blade Runner 2049. And listen, not everything needs to be essential to the plot. That's absolutely right, Lou Bloom. Mm-hmm. But when we're talking about a 2 hour and 45-minute movie, things need to start being essential. And there was nothing that was remotely relevant. And like I said, it repeats the same theme that we got not only in the first Blade Runner, but that we saw more prevalently and ultimately comes to the same reasonable conclusion as her. Yeah. So it's like...
it's very her.
Yeah, like...
Because I watched her like 2 weeks before I saw Blade Runner 2049 just for fun.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, this is very...
yeah, so...
it's very similar.
Yeah, and listen, I watched that stupid Happy Time Murders movie.
Oh, why'd you see that? That looks terrible.
Well, I've always said noir is like my favorite genre of all time, so that movie's like a noir puppet, movie,
Sure. How was it?
It was horrible. But like but see, that's the thing. Like noir movies are always supposed to follow a particular type of formula, a particular type of pasting or whatever. And usually that type includes like the like conniving, backstabbing woman. In this movie, they chose to put that as the computer girlfriend, but the computer girlfriend literally does nothing wrong. You know what I mean? It's like, there's no point.
It's over, RB3.
I'm over it.
Admit that you're wrong.
Nah, I'm not wrong. People, I saw one person had my back. You want to read the comment that had my back?
Nah, I'm going to skip that.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
God dang it.
I got to skip that, man. We don't got time, RB3. We got to
time?
speed this up.
All right, whatever.
Time's done. But I will read a comment from David Mikula, who says, I will continue to comment suggesting Danny fucking Boyle.
Hey.
Well, guess what, David? Today, this show is just for you. We're doing an entire episode on Danny Boyle, one of the most popular, well-renowned British directors working today. And that is because he did a ton of movies, RB3.
Yeah.
Now, I have to start out with this. What is the first Danny Boyle movie that you remember watching, RB3? What is your first time?
First time. That's interesting because I think really the first Danny Boyle movie, wittingly knowing it's not wittingly knowing, I guess the first Danny Boyle movie that I had seen just in general is probably 28 Days Later, right? Like that's probably the one that everybody saw that as a kid, because it's a horror movie, it's about zombies. Kind of one of the films that was instrumental in kicking off the new wave of zombie movies that we talked about with Zack Snyder episode and the
2004.
The remake of Shaun of the Dead and
Dawn of the Dead
and Shaun of the Dead, which we also talked about
Shaun of the Dead
in our Edgar Wright episode.
Yeah,
it's all coming together.
The Walking Dead.
Hey, The Walking Dead. So, but yeah, this movie, 28 Days Later. I mean, that was probably the first one I saw, but the first Danny Boyle, I guess, movie was Slumdog Millionaire.
In theaters? Did you see that?
I see it in theaters now, but I just...
You were like 4.
Yeah, and I wasn't 4. I watched movies back then. But it was... That movie had won Best Picture or whatever, so I was like, oh, cool. As soon as it comes on HBO, because that's how I used to watch movies back in the day.
You had HBO?
Yeah,
when
HBO.
You were 4?
No, I was 4. I was... 2008, I had to be at least... I was like... Well, I saw it in 2009, so I was 13 at the time. 13. Oh, man. 13.
It's basically 4.
No, basically 4. But yeah, Slumdog Millionaire became one of my favorite movies, of all time, if ever. So
yeah, that's probably. I remember watching 28 Days Later before Slumdog, but my first theater, I guess you can say, Danny Boyle film was Slumdog Millionaire, and it's a movie that I remember going with a few friends of mine and walking out and being like, that is a very impactful film. Yeah. Just in general, even if it's not a film that you want to rewatch, it's still a very, very impactful film. I still think that, and it's rewatching the movie, it still is like, yo, this is really freaking good. And it won Best Picture, right?
Yeah.
Won Best Picture, man. I mean, that's
that's
a big deal. I want to go to another question, RB3, and it's, why are you such a Danny Boyle fan?
Hey, I like Danny.
What is it about Danny Boyle?
Danny Boyle is one of the only directors I think that can successfully jump from genre to genre and make equally great, if not better, movies from time to time again. I mean, they're definitely there's, you look at his earlier work Trainspotting, a movie, a drugged out kind of movie, going to something like 28 Days Later, a zombie movie. Sunshine, what many would consider, we're already talking about Trainspotting, which is already considered one of the best drug movies of all time, or best psychedelic movies of all time. 28 Days Later, considered one of the best zombie movies of all time. Sunshine, a lot of people regard as one of the best sci-fi movies of all time. Slumdog Millionaire wins Best Picture. To me, Steve Jobs is one of the best biopics of all time too. So then it's just his entire plethora is filled with all these entirely different genres that all seemingly work and have their own kind of life and personality.
Similar to Ang Lee, he has a very diverse set of films. Yeah. It's not almost copy with a slight change like other directors. Yeah. One that comes to mind, obviously, all credit to him because he's one of the best working directors now. But you're very familiar with a Quentin Tarantino style of something going from Django Unchained to The Hateful Eight, right? Whereas Danny Boyle specifically just plays with so many different genres and so many different types of POVs, basically. Characters that have different perspectives on what they're going through. I personally feel like that's what makes him a little bit different than the usual film director, well, especially British film director.
Well, yeah, I think he definitely has a distinct...
Of course. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like so many different genres is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Because I think, with Danny Boyle, I think is the coolest part about him is that he just adds the most extreme visual sensation to anything ever, like, or not anything ever, but to the moments that it matters most. Like I always think to Trainspotting, the sequence where he's like literally climbing through the shit hole thing or whatever, like,
hard to watch.
Yeah, which is but it's very visually out there, right? 127 Hours is a survival movie that is stuck in one location, but it's a movie that literally has one location but had to have 2 DPs on board for it because of how difficult of a shoot it was,
Mm-hmm.
So it's all, he plays with the form and the art form of cinema with like this kind of connectivity, which I think is also consistent with some of the other British directors we've talked about, right? Like Matthew Vaughn, Edgar Wright, very fast paced, high kinetic kind of style. Those are more comedic directions. Danny Boyle tends to lean into more dramatic, yeah, kind of sensibility. So
yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into his IMDb page where it tells us all the films that he directed. Now, Danny Boyle was born in 1956 in Manchester, England.
I'm in this Hitchcock class, man, and I swear the entire class, at least for the first 2 weeks, is like, Hitchcock was born in August 25th.
What's Hitchcock's favorite food? Yeah, like, man, I don't care, bro.
Yeah, he's born to 4 siblings, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck does this matter? Like,
yeah, Hitchcock, man, that's gonna be a crazy episode when we do that.
Well, I'm taking an entire class on it, so I'll be prepared for the Hitchcock episode.
There you go. But no, I listened to I believe it's the BAFTA interview from Danny Boyle, where he sits down and basically talks about his entire filmography. So I have recently watched that, and it's very interesting because basically when he was a kid like 13, 14, your age, he he started out as like, going to a very religious school. I think he said Catholic school, and wanting to be a priest. And one of the priests took him aside, and he basically was like, "I don't think you should be a priest, though." And when he got into his teens, he started to slowly rebel from that, and he wanted to be a film director. And the movie that inspired him to be a film director was 1979's Apocalypse Now. That was the movie that he said impacted him the most and made him want to pursue a career in making movies, basically.
Yeah, Francis Ford Coppola.
Oh, yeah, and he says he loves Coppola, and apparently he tried to get a job with Spielberg, and he hadn't seen Star Wars. Like, he was the only person he knew that didn't see Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because he said he grew up during that 70s era in a very much like a punk rock. Because 1970s, England is the punk rock start was right there. That's where it basically started. And he said that was his whole ideology, not just with the music, but also with the message that it was preaching, the punk rock message of basically rebelling against the status quo, of trying to do something outside the box, of not committing to a society that has already been set apart by a government. So he started to make movies. The first movie he did was a movie called Shallow Grave, RB3. 1994 was his first feature film. He did a lot of TV before that, but 1994 was his first feature film with a movie called Shallow Grave, RB3. This movie stars my boy, my homie, the homie, Ewan McGregor.
Wow.
Or Ewan McGregor, who, because seriously, the correct way to say it is always funny to me. But no. Ewan McGregor, RB3.
Ewan McGregor.
You're trying to say it in a Scottish accent. This
Ewan
whole
McGregor.
episode's going to be in a terrible Scottish accent.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ewan McGregor.
Yeah. Ewan McGregor. That's my attempt.
Yeah.
Either way, RB3, what is your connection to this movie?
Shallow Grave is a very deep movie about graves that are shallow.
This is the first shark movie. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, really? Okay.
Shallow Grave. Is that like a, no?
Yeah, I feel bad whenever I miss a movie because, for Ang Lee, damn it, man, I missed like 4 of them bitches. You know what I mean? You're talking about they're about family dramas.
That's
I thought they're romance comedies.
Movies.
Yeah, I missed them bitches.
Yeah,
man.
them bitches crazy.
Yeah.
What you mean? Whoa, girl? No, movies, man.
Yeah, movies.
Yeah, it's
Mama, if you're listening, I didn't just say that.
It's unfortunately a movie that I have missed as well. RB3. I assume Trainspotting was his first movie that he actually did, but it's actually Shallow Grave.
Shallow Graves is on Cinemax though, so if you're interested in watching.
Oh damn, you have Cinemax RB3?
No, it comes with HBO. It comes with HBO.
Does it come with HBO? I have HBO and I don't got Cinemax.
I'm pirating cable here.
Oh, come on, man.
It's not
You're doing illegal stuff, RB3? Is that what the kids are doing nowadays?
Hey, man.
Yeah, Shallow Grave, starring Ewan McGregor. Basically, I believe that's his first film. I actually think that's the first movie he got to start with.
Oh, wow.
So it's a start for Danny Boyle and Ewan McGregor, which is kind of funny because that's a relationship that has developed into now.
Yeah.
With this year releasing T2 Trainspotting.
Yeah. And Ewan starring
Ewan McGregor.
And with Trainspotting too, the original.
And Trainspotting is a film that people still relate to Danny Boyle himself. Like when people say Danny Boyle, that's the first film people think of, which is kind of ironic considering he made 127 Hours, Slumdog Millionaire, and a bunch of other movies that are pretty big, especially Steve Jobs. But Trainspotting, it's still the movie that people relate to Danny Boyle. Why do you think that is, RB3?
Well, I mean, a lot of times when you have your early, hit like early on, that's always going to be what people tie you to, right? Like same thing with Spielberg and Jaws, or Lucas with the original Star Wars, or Francis Ford Coppola with The Godfather. It's not really your first film. It's the first one that gives you that platform. And Trainspotting was a movie that capitalized off the independent film circuit, coming out of the 90s, the independent wave that a lot of people were starting to catch on to during the 1990s. Partially due to the rise and popularity in Sundance movies and, Tarantino and all these independent filmmakers. But Trainspotting fit kind of into that because it was a low budget. It was based on a novel that a lot of people were relatively familiar with, if I'm not mistaken. But it transcended a lot of, because a lot of times UK movies, foreign movies, not necessarily foreign, but this is foreign, it's not made in America. Like non-American movies can kind of get lost in the shuffle, but this movie shone bright because of what it had to say and what it's about. So
yeah, it's a very Scottish movie, RB3. Rewatching this movie, I was like, oh yeah, give me that Scottish accent, man.
Yeah, you need subtitles for that movie.
Oh yeah, I told you before we went on air that I was like, I need a Scottish wife, man. I don't even know what she's saying. She's just really upset right now. Yeah, and it's very much close to the Edinburgh lifestyle and culture back in the 90s, because this movie came out in 1996.
Right.
It was probably shot 95, 94. And when Danny Boyle was talking about this in the interview, he talked about how he basically wanted to make... He said he wanted to make a rave culture type of movie that kind of talks about or celebrates the rave culture. And during that time in the mid-90s, Scotland was filled with people who were taking ecstasy and going to raves. That was like the thing. But he changed it to heroin because he really thought that would be a little bit more impactful. Or as Ewan says in the movie, heroin. Ewan. Yeah, man, you gotta work on that Scottish accent. It's nowhere near as good as mine. But basically, that's kind of the lifestyle that he wanted to target. Yeah. And you see a little bit of that with the scene where he first sees Diane. But the rest of the movie is basically about the characters that go into heroin, which we know now. I mean, especially 2018. This thing is crazy, man.
Yeah, it's the opioid crisis.
Yes, we have an actual crisis that's talking about what this movie was talking about back in 1996. And we get to see quite a bit of it, of how it can kind of ruin your life, too.
Yeah.
I mean, just completely...
It's like Requiem for a Dream, but, like, funnier.
Yeah, because I was gonna say Requiem for a Dream. I was watching a clip on YouTube about the reporter going to the only blockbuster left in the planet or the U.S. and it's in Bend, Oregon, I believe. And he goes. And he's walking around. He's like, I'm in the only Blockbuster left. So you guys remember Blockbuster? And it's basically, that's his whole thing. And one of the guys goes up to him and he's like, and everyone, the best part of Blockbuster was the Blockbuster employees who would recommend movies. And it cuts to the Blockbuster employee recommending a movie. And he's like, oh yeah, you should see Prometheus. Or if you want another type of movie, a really good movie is Requiem for a Dream. And I was like, bro, you can't just recommend Requiem for a Dream. You can't do that, bro. For someone who doesn't know, like you can't do that stuff. You have to put like a ton of stipulations. It's like, watch Requiem for a Dream. It will destroy your life and it's the most horrible. Like you have to say that because you can't just be like, oh yeah, watch it with your family. It's totally cool. It's a great movie. It is a great movie. But it's not one I would probably go to Blockbuster. You can't just
throw that around and be like, hey, see Requiem for a Dream.
Great movie. And it's like, bro, you got to say more than great movie.
Nah. That one comes with a little bit more.
Yeah, but you're right. It is like it's a drug. It's basically all about the drug lifestyle. Yeah. And the craziness of heroin because heroin is just next level.
Yeah. Heroin is not good. Yeah. And, you know, especially now in terms of 2018, you know, you're talking about the opioid crisis. I think this movie does a really good job of showing that drugs affect poor people way harder than it does anybody else. And these guys, I mean, you know, they're not like poor, but shit, they're pretty broke. You know what I mean? Like they're not like, you know, they're all having to rely on like their work and their profession to like kind of fuel their addiction, which is the case for a lot of people in actual society. You know, of course, like this is it's not like how it's not like I want to say that the root of the problem is not. I don't want to say the root of the problem of people using heroin is income inequality, but that's an attribution to it, right? Like that's, you know, for some people not having the resources to survive or to provide for their, you know, for themselves or for their family or to live a meaningful, happy life, they turn to drugs for the result of easing their mind, of easing the pain. And I think that's the character arc we see throughout this entire story is how people turn to drugs to ease, you know, what they're really dealing with.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I believe like 15 minutes in the movie, we meet that character, I forget his name, with the mustache, and Ewan talks about how his drug is just being like overly macho and beating up people and using violence. Right. And he says, you know, it's the same thing. Like that's his drug. And he's talking very much specifically about how the perception of a junkie is so negative, yet there are so many people who have the same mentality of being addicted to something and using something that can be considered worse, like violence, right? Like what's worse? Is something like being addicted to a drug or being addicted to punching people? Because you see throughout the movie how he's basically obsessed with beating people up and being a massive dick, basically. But essentially the movie follows these guys. And I can't lie, man. Like those parents, clutch, man. Because when that cold turkey scene, when he's basically trying to avoid all forms of drugs, is hard to watch, obviously. But at the same time, it's like, man, parents have to be committed to that. And it's crazy how it shows you that no matter what you're doing or what you're on, at least if you got good parents, that's clutch. That's so helpful because some people don't have that. Some people are going through stuff completely alone and are completely, you know, put aside from their parents or pushed out of the house because they don't want to deal with a junkie son. Right. Yeah. So for me, that's very impactful. But the entire movie essentially talks about the idea of getting clean. And I still love the actress who plays Diane. Her name is Kelly MacDonald. And I can't lie, I was rewatching this film and I was like, she kind of sounds like the princess from Brave. Sure enough, looked it up. She's the princess from Brave. That's funny. It's like the most Scottish accent you can think of. And that's a big part of the movie is the way they talk and the way they have slang. Yeah. It's interesting because Danny Boyle was saying that he didn't want it to be mumblecore. but it's still kind of mumblecore-ish. I don't know if you agree with that, but
well, for people who don't know what mumblecore is, that's like a subgenre of coming of age story that's like all about teenagers who have nothing better to do but like, you know, get high or something. You know, like in this case, if you're alluding that comparison, I don't really think it is.
No, he said it wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah.
But some people say.
I mean, mumblecore in the fact that they're literally mumbling and I can't understand what they're saying. I'm telling you, man, I have to watch this shit.
If mumblecore is Scottish accent, then yes.
Yeah. Nah, they definitely need to not have that shit in this movie. Like,
no, but I'm saying like it's very much more slang driven, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Authenticness to that area in Edinburgh. And eventually, you know, they come with a sequel 20 years later and what happens to those characters in Edinburgh. And Danny Boyle was talking about how the scene has changed, the culture has changed, and the people has changed. And apparently he credits a lot of it to the movie, where he says, yeah, a lot of people started moving out there because they were like, oh yeah, that's from Trainspotting. And they would go and they moved in like loads, like tons of young people moved to Edinburgh, Scotland. And
for the heroin or
no, it's just
to live there,
just to party it up, man, just to be kids having fun. Maybe for the heroin, but I don't think that was necessarily the driving factor. But yeah, man, I mean, this movie is very stylistic. You talked about the bathroom scene. I already talked about the cold turkey not taking any drugs scene, but it has dark themes, man. Like I can't lie, that there's some certain deaths in this movie that I'm like, yo, that's dark. That's bold to put that in your movie. So I feel like you're right. It balances a very dramatic, dark movie with lots of light comedy and lots of funny moments in the movie.
I mean, the movie wouldn't work if it didn't have a little bit of levity to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it kick-started Ewan's relationship with Danny Boyle, which he says that they had like a, you know, breaking up type of thing that went down because he was supposed to, I guess I'll tell the story now, but he was supposed to, Ewan McGregor thought that he was going to be cast in The Beach, you know, The Beach, the Leonardo DiCaprio one.
DiCaprio, yeah.
And Danny Boyle like broke the news to him that it's not going to happen, it's not going to be him because they wanted Leonardo DiCaprio, who was obviously on the huge rise back in that time.
Right.
And apparently they had like they were apart for such a long time. And they came back together and became good friends for Trainspotting 2.
Oh, nice.
I just think it's funny because it's like a simple little thing that gets in the way. And Danny Boyle tells the story in the Graham Norton show. I don't know if you've seen clips of that show. But he breaks down in tears, man.
Wow.
I was like, yo, this is real. I don't know if you've seen the Graham Norton show. Have you seen the Graham Norton show?
Yeah, I've seen the show, yeah.
It's the most lighthearted. Like, they're drinking like they've drank before coming on live the show. Like, everyone's like, why are they drunk? Because they've already been drinking for hours before going live to the audience. And yet this guy's crying, man. Talking about how much he loves Ewan and how they're like best mates now.
Wow.
After coming back together for that movie. So there you go. Fun little fact that you might have not known. Is that he was into that they broke up basically. But after that movie, we had 2002, 28 Days Later. RB3 was climbing out of the crib, barely learning to walk.
No,
in 2002, man, you're so mad.
I was like 5 years old.
Man, if you say one more young joke, man, I'm gonna get up from this table. I'm gonna flip this table.
I don't get mad over the young jokes. I get really mad when people say I look like Khalid. Yo, stop saying I look like Khalid. God damn it.
Is that really your trigger one?
Yeah, it's the trigger, man. Like,
I don't know. That's kind of a compliment. What about mine from Willem Dafoe?
Yeah.
Come on. How am I supposed to take that?
You look more like Bruno Mars than Willem Dafoe, bro.
Yeah, well, Bruno Mars is another one. I'm like, really? Bruno Mars? Gosh. Can't you guys say like Oscar Isaac or something?
Oh, Oscar Isaac. Yeah, that's a good one.
Come on, give me something like a good-looking guy, not like Bruno Mars.
Why you hate on Bruno Mars?
I'm not hating on Bruno Mars, but ain't nobody saying, yo, Bruno Mars is so good-looking. I've never heard that.
Hey,
have you heard that?
I've not anybody our age, but
like, have you heard Bruno Mars being called a stud or? I've never heard it.
Hey, you gotta hang out with more 40-year-old black women, bro. That's you gotta be around. Dog.
Yeah, but
Bruno Mars is great.
Come on, man. 40-year-olds love anyone. Come on.
That's ageist. Ageism.
But either way, 28 Days Later.
Ewan
was his follow-up film. Shout out to Ewan. Obi-Wan movie. We want it.
Yeah.
Do it. We need to make that. 28 Days Later starts another actor that Danny Boyle likes to use quite a bit and that he's very fond of, Mr. Cillian Murphy, who's another guy who I believe is a very underrated actor. Yeah. That guy's a beast of an actor. And he's got those crazy eyes that are like clutch. It's like the coolest crazy eyes I've ever seen. Yeah,
that's why it's so perfect in the Batman movies.
It's perfect. It's perfect because he has those crazy eyes, man. And the movie with, was it called Red Eye? Mm-hmm. Have you seen that movie?
I haven't seen it, no.
But he's
Red Eye?
Red Eye.
What is it about?
It's about a lady who takes a red-eye flight, and it turns out like her neighbor, her flight neighbor, is like a crazy guy.
No,
he's like a crazy serial killer guy.
I haven't seen that one.
Either way, he plays a crazy guy, and it's like, yeah, perfect. Mm-hmm. So it was funny to see him in Inception and be like, oh, you're not a crazy guy. Mm-hmm. What's going on? You're breaking the norm. Right. But either way, 28 Days Later is a zombie apocalypse movie, and it starts of a guy who wakes up 28 days later in a hospital after the zombie apocalypse has happened, and he doesn't know what the hell is going on. Naomi Harris is also in this movie, and it's very similar to The Walking Dead, RB3. It's very similar. Have you seen The Walking Dead?
I watched the first 2 seasons.
Well, there you go. Then you know that Rick wakes up in a hospital after like a month has gone by after the zombie apocalypse. So it has that going on for it. And it's basically a zombie thriller movie, like a zombie horror movie, but it turns into a different type of horror movie towards the third act of the movie, at least I believe, because I was like, yo, this is dark. Like, it's crazy dark. And it also brings up my question or my thing, where it's like, if you watch The Walking Dead as long as I have, because I'm a fan of The Walking Dead. Like, I was with that. I didn't stop watching till like.
I didn't stop watching.
Everybody has got to stop watching at some point, man. Ain't nobody sticking around with The Walking Dead. Damn. Everybody knows that you're like The Walking Dead, good times.
I've been saying The Walking
As in
Dead.
R.I.P.
Yeah,
it's like it's still on the air, man. Is it though? Is it still on the air? Because for me, I was like, oh, come on, Walking Dead. You lost me. Me and Makuga were the last ones. We were like, oh, we're hitting it. Are you still watching it? Yeah. And it's like, oh, we fell off. Yeah. We fell off, man.
Nah, I don't think if you're watching.
But I watched like 8 seasons of The Walking Dead. Man. Yeah, I was with it. That's not like, bueno. This is my show. But I still had to give it up.
Yeah, give it up. I really
shout out to Rick. I still think he's one of the best characters on TV.
So what came first, the Walking Dead comic book or the?
That's a fantastic question. I do not know. Because I was gonna say the show obviously came later. Yeah. But the comic book, I'm not sure. Either way, man, what are your thoughts on this movie?
Yeah, 28 Days Later is probably one of the better zombie movies. I think the way, again, this is another attribution to the hyperkinetic style that Danny Boyle uses for this show, not for the show, for this movie, and the fact that we get these rampantly like staccato moving like zombies. You know, the way he used that is like he ramped up like the shutter. He ramped down or ramped up or up down. I don't know. It depends on the way you interpret it. Anyway, he adjusted the shutter speed or the shutter angle to make the zombies seem like more like static, you know what I mean? Just to give it, so whenever zombies were in frame, it was a little different than when humans were in frame, just to give it the extra style, the extra flair, you know? And it really took a lot of time and attention into understanding not only what George A. Romero was going for in terms of the aesthetic of zombies, but for the deeper morality. Because if you watch those older Romero movies, there are a lot of deeper, darker themes and concepts that they approach in relationship to, you know, some about pregnancy, some about racial relations, some about women's rights. You know, all these different zombie films have a greater implication. I think this implication here was, at least in my reading of it, at least about what was like isolation and how we cope with being left with no governing kind of system, with no, like, what anarchy kind of breaks out into when there's no, you know, system behind it or whatever. So.
Yeah, for anyone who's not like following the zombie craze or whatever, like I did, because I followed The Walking Dead like crazy. Like, I know what it is. But
World War Z.
World War Z is another one. But for example, like the zombie movie in general, like every zombie movie is a metaphor to something else. It's a giant metaphor, whether it be you know, something like a Dawn of the Dead, which is about, you know, capitalism and commercialism and all this stuff. Like zombies are not just let's kill a bunch of zombies. It always represents something else. What happens to humanity when humanity has an apocalyptic event happening? Basically, we lose our humanity. That's essentially the theme of the show. And can we get back that humanity as a society? That's what Rick represents. Rick is representing what humans do, collecting more groups of humans and working together and trying to live as a society. And we get characters like Negan, who represents, or the governor, who represents a counter to that. Whereas like, oh, now that apocalypse has come, let me just kill a bunch of people for fun. And it's like, I needed to survive, so I don't care. I'm just going to stab you and take your water because it's resources, right? Like what happens when resources lose? It's great stuff. Like I really cater towards zombie films. And 28 Days Later, what I was going to say in relation to The Walking Dead, I'm telling you, man, because I'm in that zombie apocalypse mode where obviously I'm not the one who preps and all that, but at the same time, you got to think about it, RB3. Sometimes you just got to question to yourself, what would happen? And my thing is, if zombies are like the walkers in The Walking Dead, we got a chance. If zombies are like sprinters, like in 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later, those zombies can move, man.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, dude, if zombies can like be like Usain Bolt, we're done. We ain't got no shot. But another theme that the movie talks about that I really do feel, and I think I've said it, I said it recently on the James Cameron episode. I said, like, if an apocalypse happens or the zombie apocalypse takes place, who takes over the world? The military. And this movie says that too. And obviously The Walking Dead says that in different episodes. But if the zombie apocalypse actually happened, you bet your ass the military would be the most clutch group to be a part of, basically. It's like if you got a ton of artillery and that's what eliminates the enemy, and it's you got experts behind it, it's like, dude, it's open season for the military. I mean, they're basically the greatest defense you have, and when all you need is defense to survive, the military is going to take over. And we see how that plays into the psychological warfare that happens within these guys who now view women as a commodity, as a resource, instead of viewing them as humans, as people. They view them as, oh, that's an object for me to obtain, so I'm going to obtain that object. I mean, that's huge, and that's horrifying, right? And that's what Killian has to realize, and he has to take down the real monster. It's cliche, but at the same time, it's true. Like when we're fighting monsters, we create worse monsters. Monsters who are conscious of the decisions they're making. And consciousness and self-awareness is something that begins to dwindle as a society when apocalyptic events happen. Yeah.
Sure. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's horrifying. I don't know about you, man, but that ending scene when Killian is going crazy and he's just taking dudes out, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. And when he puts one of the guys on the walker they had like chained up, I was like, dude, this is gnarly.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Naomi Harris is great in this movie too.
Yeah, she's good. Yeah, Oscar nominee.
Oscar. Oh yeah, I was gonna say not winner.
Not winner.
Nominated.
Nominee. Yeah.
And then she did Rampage.
Hey man.
Naomi, what are you doing?
You can't kill The Rock.
But she also plays Penny in the Bond movies now.
Yeah, she does. And speaking of Bond, that was Danny Boyle's last
That's why we're doing this episode. No, I'm kidding. It's for David. We're doing it for David, man.
David?
No, I'm kidding.
What's David?
David is a guy who's like, I want Danny Boyle. It's just for you, David. All that matters is that one view from David.
Damn, man. I'm sorry, David. We just said your name like 5 minutes ago. My bad, bro. Like.
Yeah, but yeah, in reality, I got the idea because of the Bond news that came out that he's not doing Bond, which is very disappointing in my perspective. I even tweeted it out because, you know me, I'm a Bond guy. I love James Bond. James Bond is one of my favorite all-time characters in general. And I wanted a Danny Boyle directed James Bond movie with Daniel Craig. I don't know about you, but I don't know if you wanted that too.
Yeah, no, I absolutely wanted that. It probably would have been more in the fashion of Casino Royale, probably in terms of aesthetic.
That's what I thought too. And Casino Royale is the GOAT.
Yeah,
greatest Bond movie of all time.
I don't know about that. But
it is RB3.
I like Skyfall more.
Any other opinion is wrong.
I like Skyfall more personally.
Skyfall's good, but man, Casino Royale is like next level, man.
Yeah,
Eva Green, Eva Green.
Yeah, she's hot. She's hot.
I rest my case.
She's
Eva
hot.
Green,
She's
best
hot.
Bond girl ever. Eva Green.
Best Bond girl ever? That's a
Best
big. That's a
Bond girl
loaded
ever.
question. Go back to Goldfinger. I like that one. She gets turned into a gold statue.
Let's talk about Millions.
Millions.
RB3. RB3 is Millions is about a kid, RB3, who is a 7-year-old guy. He's a kid. He's just 11, and he learns about Euros. RB3. Euros.
Wow.
Did you see this movie, RB3? Did you even hear about this movie, RB3?
I didn't know.
Me neither.
Wow.
Yeah, apparently it didn't do too well, RB3. Didn't make a lot of money.
It's all good, man. Sometimes it just happens to our favorite directors.
Yeah, it's interesting because we see child-driven movies. It's such a challenge, and not everyone is a master of it, like Steven Spielberg, where he basically is really well known for directing children. And it's a talent within itself. So props to Danny Boyle for even trying to tackle that, because I know that is a very difficult thing. I know he compares to the actor in the interview that I was watching to the girl from Beast from the Southern Wild. He compares the little kid to her, saying that he's like incredible, and there's some kids who just get it. Yeah. But either way,
Quinad, I can't actually. I'm not even gonna try and pronounce her name. Her last name is Wallace, though. Her last name is Wallace.
Quiana Wallace?
Wallace? It's not. That's not even close, bro.
Come on, man. I'm trying.
I have no idea how to pronounce it.
Well, why don't you try RB3? No.
Hey, I'm not.
Either way, in 2007, we got a very sci-fi 2001 A Space Odyssey inspired movie called Sunshine. Yeah. It has a crazy cast. Crazy cast. It has Benedict Wong, Chris Evans. Cillian Murphy, Rose Byrne.
No Ewan.
What's the other girl's name? Michelle Yeoh is in the movie. Mark Strong is briefly in the movie. Cliff Curtis is in the movie. Shout out to Fear the Walking Dead. Yeah. There's a connection right there.
No.
But I can't lie. Rewatching this movie, the first thing that pops is the cast. Yeah. I'm like, I know all these people. And shout out to Chris Evans, man. We talked about Chris's on a preview of last week's episode, on a clip of last week's episode. Yeah. Chris Evans is good, man.
He's good in this one.
He's good. I mean, I think I ranked him the bottom, but it doesn't mean he's a bad actor or anything. But I still ranked him like on number 4 as far as best Chris.
This is probably his best part.
Right? It's one of his best roles. He's actually really good in the movie. Mm-hmm. Essentially, the movie is about, for anyone who hasn't seen it, the sun's dying and humanity sends a group of astronauts to space to restart the sun, which is crazy within itself because they're like, that's not possible. You're like, no, man. That's not how you do it.
I think if we got to a point where we start to realize the sun was dying out, I think scientists, if you give scientists 5-10 years.
By then in the future, because I think they've said the sun will eventually die out, but I think the period is like something crazy, like billions in like 17 million years or 28 million years. Where it's like, by then, it's like, I don't think we're even going to be around. So
be on Mars by then, bro.
Yeah, by then, we're going to be like dead.
Gonna be Rick and Morty. He's going to be Rick
just
and Morty.
Dead.
It's going to be I want to see Rick and Morty. I want to see Rick and Morty feature like tomorrow, man. Like we're just hopping to like different dimensions and shit.
Yeah. Well, I talked about it last week's episode about dimensions and stuff. And you never know, man. Dimension, we're going to be dimension traveling. I am a firm believer in that. And that stuff. But either way, they try and restart the sun using the technology they have. And they have a group of astronauts. You know what it's very familiar to as well? I said 2001, but it's also familiar to Cloverfield Paradox. Yeah. I know Cloverfield Paradox was not a good movie. Yeah. And I said it very clearly the first time I saw it. Mm-hmm. And I was so hyped for that. You remember that because I was Super Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. And I was with you that night. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I was really hype on it, and I told you. Right. Because I love the Cloverfield franchise, especially 10 Cloverfield Lane. Yeah. But either way, it had that similar effect of like scientists from all over the globe. So we have a very diverse cast, basically. Yeah. Either way, I cater towards Chris Evans' character. I don't know about you. I don't know when was the last time you saw Sunshine. But Chris Evans' character is essentially the guy who's like mission first, humanity first, mission first. And there's other people who like feel really bad about it. So when mistakes are made and they're like, oh, if we do this, we're going to lose 2 people. And he's like, let's do it. And other people are like, wait a minute, we can't. We have to debate it. Chris Evans is like, we have to save humanity, man. That's like the #1 mission. So personally, I cater towards his character the most, and he comes off like an asshole in the movie. But at the same time, it's like, if someone says you got to restart the sun, I'm gonna go restart that sun, man. And I'm like, but the guy's dying on a different. I'm like, I don't care, man. I gotta restart the sun. But essentially, the movie has those questions of like testing our humanity, saying what do we choose during dire situations, and if the fate of the world literally rests on your shoulders, like these guys do, what kind of decisions do you make, and do you make hard decisions that will overcome human lives? Basically, it's like, are human lives really even worth it? Because it's basically a one-way mission, no matter how you look at it. Because they're supposed to come back, but then they can't, and they're like, this is what we thought anyways. None of us thought we are gonna make it back from restarting the sun. But overall, man, there's a lot of space movies out there. I mean, obviously Interstellar, The Martian, Gravity.
Well, I mean, this movie definitely feels a lot like it takes from the Star Trek ilk of like making scientists in space do really smart things. But, the third act kind of twisted on his own head, and I think that's like the major flaw of the movie. I think the third act is like by far the worst part. And there's a alien on board and all that kind of shit. But beyond that, the movie has a lot of great things to say. And like you said, it's a morality test. Like, are you able to, do you want to save humanity for the sake of your own like life, and you kind of mentioned how, you mentioned Cloverfield paradox, which I think directly is influenced from Sunshine. Like, I think
it's
Cloverfield,
it's so similar, man.
Yeah. They looked at Sunshine. I was like, yeah, let's make that movie, which is fine, because a lot of movies, there are a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of space movies that are about astronauts, Alien and Aliens is a movie just basically about truckers or like blue collar people being in space.
Interstellar,
yeah,
is about like saving humanity as well.
So it's all about so that's why this movie kind of tackles that question a little more straightforward and tackles it that way. But yeah, no, the alien at the end, which I think, like we mentioned, is influenced heavily by also 2001: Space Odyssey. I think that was the attempt of replicating the trippy off weirdness of the end of 2001: Space Odyssey. But I'm not fucking with the alien freeze frames.
I'm 100% with you, man. I was rewatching this movie, and I can't lie, like an hour in the movie, I'm like, yo, this movie's really good.
Yeah.
Like, why did it has a 63% on Rotten Tomatoes? I was like, that's kind of low for a movie that's a Danny Boyle movie. Why did it get that? And then I remembered the third act, and I'm like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Now there's this crazy guy on the ship.
Not guy. I said alien, but it's
not an alien. Yeah. It's like the captain of Icarus One.
Yeah.
And he's all like burned up and stuff, and he's like, I have to kill everyone, and I'm like, why though?
Yeah.
Like, you briefly explain it. You're like, well, because God doesn't want. Who know? How do you know what God wants?
Yeah.
Like, it was just too.
Yeah.
I was like, how did he get on the ship? And it's like, why? Why are you just killing everyone for fun? And it's like, come on. Like, it did kind of throw me off. It really did.
Yeah.
Because I really do feel like it falls apart during the third act, where this guy is just crazy and just killing people because we're doing the wrong thing. And it's like, no, we're not. Like, I think God would be like, yo, this is cool.
Yeah.
I'm cool with this. So you're right. It does fall apart in the third act. And yeah. I mean, I still feel like overall it's still pretty, I mean, it ends on a good note. I kind of was feeling that it was going to end on a bad note, to be honest. But it still ends on a very positive note. And overall is a pretty solid movie, but I do feel like that third act does make it fall apart quite a bit. And shout out to Rose Byrne, man.
Yeah.
I mean, she's great. I feel like she needs to get more work, man. I think she's dope. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Either way, following that movie, we saw finally Slumdog Millionaire. 2008. This is the Oscar-winning Best Picture.
J-Ho.
Oh my gosh. That song. J-Ho.
I think I have that song on my iTunes, man. Let me see.
J-Ho.
I got the
Remember,
music video.
who was the homegirl who was singing it with him? During it was during the remix.
I don't know.
Who did the remix?
I have no idea.
Was it the Pussycat Dolls?
Maybe.
Something like that. It was, I forget what they're called.
Right.
But they had a remix to it. Yeah, man. That song and it made It was nominated for best song too, right?
It was
nominated. I remember the performance for it. Yes,
hey.
You got to put this in. Oh, we're gonna get copyrighted.
Nah, let's not play too much.
I was gonna say you got to put this in the episode now.
Yeah, okay, it is.
I can't lie though. That was clutch, man.
Yeah,
I can't lie. At the end of this movie, when they do their Bollywood routine, I was in. I was like, let's go.
Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah,
like I was like, this song is legit. It's dope. It's a dope song. I like it.
Right.
But either way, this movie tried to do a lot of things, and I feel like it accomplished it because it tries to tackle not just the poverty of India and not just the overabundance of the poverty, but also the orphans and how many orphans are in India.
Right.
Like it's more than I think all over the world they have more orphans in India than anywhere else.
Right. And one of the most populated countries of all.
That's true. So it helps, but at the same time, it's like it's so unfortunate that the combination of the poverty. Now imagine that times worse when it's children living in poverty.
Yeah.
Innocence, because I really do believe in innocence as far as a child and the mind of a child and the soul of a child, because I really do feel like it's so unfair for people living in poverty. Now imagine that it's a child. Now imagine that child has no parents. Now imagine the parents, the person that's taking care of them is an abuser. Like it's 10 times 10 times 10. And at the same time, it's all around Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, a show that RB3 is a big fan of.
Yeah.
Do you remember Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Like US version with Regis Philbin?
Oh, are you kidding me? Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the Terry Crews version that's on TV now.
Did you see it with your Terry Crews?
Yeah, Terry Crews is the host of it now.
I thought it was Chris Harrison from The Bachelor.
Oh, they might have changed him now, yeah.
Yeah.
That was Terry Crews for a long time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, now I just see The Bachelor guy, and I'm like, oh, it's friggin' Bachelor guy.
Yeah, Bachelor guy.
Doing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Yeah, Terry Crews was my Bachelor host.
Did you watch it with your family, when it was on?
Nah, nobody else really cared. I mean,
my family was glued to the TV.
Yeah.
I think it was Tuesday nights. Every Tuesday night, they were like, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Like, this is amazing.
My family would get glued to when Steve Harvey started hosting Family Feud. Oh. That's when we got glued to.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we were already Family Feud friends.
Family Feud is so good. I love Family Feud, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Family Feud is a lot of fun to play. I really feel like that's one of the most underrated game shows.
Yeah, I like Jeopardy too. I like Jeopardy a lot. I really like Jeopardy because they gave a lot of the college kids, turns. And also, by the way, everybody hashtag Josh McCougar for Jeopardy.
There you go.
As always, keep that going. We gotta
show that love, man. Show that support.
Alex, you're back. I think he has a real shot. He got the blue check on Twitter now, so hey.
Yeah, blue check.
Yeah,
I want a blue check.
Yeah, man, I want a blue check too. I don't know if they'll approve me though, man. I got too many.
With Eminem hating.
Yeah.
RB3 is a hashtag Eminem hater.
Yeah, dude, because I'm right, Ace. Ooh, that shit was whack.
You're going after Eminem.
Kamikaze was whack.
Really?
Whack, people, whack.
Are you sure, RB3?
Yes.
Dang, man. That's a real hot
actually,
take.
You know what? It's not whack.
That's a sun heat type take.
Oh man, nah,
that's as hot as the sun, man.
Hey, sun's zeroing right now.
Yeah.
I gotta say, it's not whack. There's maybe
there's a few good songs.
There's
shout out to Joyner Lucas.
No, we're not shouting out Joyner Lucas. I'm not shouting out the Black Republican. Are you kidding me?
I can't lie, man. I was driving today and I listened to 105.9.
Yeah.
And they have the trailer, not the radio trailer for Kevin Hart's new movie.
Yeah.
I still remember when I pointed to the screen during Crazy Rich Asians during the trailers. And I was like, "Oh, are you gonna watch that, RB3?" And your words were what?
I can't support this coonery.
I literally thought that in my head when I was listening to the trailer, and I was like, "Man, RB3."
I'm telling you, man.
That's some harsh words for Kevin Hart, man.
Our people gotta be represented well, man.
You're gonna say that about Joyner now?
Yeah, Joyner, man. Every time he says, every time he talks about fucking people having guns and
Yeah, but you're a Kanye lover, man. You love Kanye.
Yeah, but he's not making music about Trump supporters listening to each other. Like, what the fuck is this? I'm racist. I'm not racist. He had the white guy in the video saying the N-word. Get the fuck out of here.
Moving on. Slumdog Millionaire.
No, I do. No, I do. You know what? I like this one Jordan Lucas song he got called 100. I think it's called Keep It 100. And it's a song. The video is all about $100 bill that goes from like a stripper to like this dude, and then to this liquor store, and the liquor store gets robbed. Like, it's crazy. It's a good video. But Slumdog Millionaire is one of my favorite movies of all time, because I remember watching that movie and distinctly. One of the few motion picture experiences that I had where I felt like equally happy and laughing, but also sad, and also buying into the romance angle of it. Because there's a lot of romance, but there's also a lot of very sharp commentary on reality TV, TV in general,
narratives,
and really like to a certain extent, like how. To a certain extent, like government too, right? Not necessarily government, but like, the way in which we perceive currency, and like, because what is it, 20 million like rupees, right, is equivalent to the millionaire status there. And how this dude literally is getting tortured for getting the right answers, for actually knowing the things, and how much of a rigged system the system itself actually is. So it's just interesting.
I've always thought that when I was watching it as a kid, the show itself, the American version, where I was like, did they really get $1 million though? Or did they really get $250,000? Like when they would say like huge amounts, like $500,000, you just won half, and everyone goes crazy. And I would go crazy because you're like, that's a lot of money. And do they actually get that money is a very funny question, because most people don't win the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like vast majority, like a handful of people win the whole thing over like 15 years of it when it was on the air or something. Right. So that's a very, very interesting point. But at the end of the day, at the heart of the story, it's a love story it's a brother relationship story first and foremost. I feel where it's mainly about brotherhood and about the relationship you have with your brother and how much blood means versus love. Because he has to realize that at the end of the day, it's still his brother. I feel like that's a huge part of the movie. I don't know if you agree with that.
Right, absolutely.
Because he feels so different to his brother when he hasn't seen him in years. And it's also Frida Pinto, and that's her name, right? Frida Pinto? And how she represents the love character in that movie, and how she has to make decisions not based on finances and based on what normal people in India would look at and be like, well, it's a rich guy versus a poor guy. Yeah. But at the same time, when you go after the poor guy, maybe he can be rich, RB3. You never know when he's going to be on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and win $1 million.
Yeah, you never know if you can just stumble upon that situation.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like that's a big part of the movie as well. And obviously showcasing India in a very authentic way. That was like what Danny Boyle wanted to do. Yeah. Was integrate into the society of India and be a hybrid between a Hollywood movie and a Bollywood movie. Yeah. It's like both.
I mean, it's even co-directed by an Indian director who I don't know how to properly say the name. But yeah, that's a big part of it. And it's a lot about a lot of Hindu themes and imagery and stuff like that too.
That's right.
Like where there's that shot of the woman on fire, kind of resembling,
and the hatred towards the minority.
Right. And the oppression that was happening, the religious oppression that was happening in India,
which is
during that time,
still happening now in a very, very, very crazy fascist kind of way, where the hatred towards Muslims in India is crazy. Like, it's insane. Like, they would literally take people and kill them and stuff. Yeah. Wow. So, yeah, it brings awareness to that, which is what is going on nowadays. And it shows you just a glimpse of the violence that takes place in India based on your faith, your religion, which is something that kind of goes under the radar, I believe, in the culture in general, our culture in general. Yeah.
Well, Americans just need to start paying attention to overseas more.
Absolutely.
I also think this movie had, you're kind of talking about the brother relationship and how one brother is the rich one, one's the poor. I've always kind of thought it was interesting that like dichotomy of the innocent brother, the Dave Patel character, who is making legal money, who's taking phone calls and doing all that stuff while his brother, and he's basically living in fucking shambles, you know. Meanwhile, his brother's like, you know, pimping women and got guns and money and weapons, but he got all that money because he's doing all that shit illegally, and that just shows to show you how corrupt the system in and of itself is. A system that's so corrupt where a dude has to get tortured because he answered a couple trivia questions right, you know. But that just shows you how criminal and how corrupt the society and the people are because of the economical positions they are put in. So
yeah, I mean, it kind of has that effect of the Game of Thrones effect of like the well-meaning, good-hearted, honorable man gets like freaking destroyed.
Yeah,
like it's like, oh, the good guy is gonna win. Oh no, the good guy is getting tortured.
right.
What is going on? I thought the good guy was supposed to win, and it has that at the beginning. Obviously, he wins at the end, but where it shows how, yeah, you can be well-meaning, you can be a good-hearted human trying to climb the ladder in a society, but at the same time, or you can break some rules and make money faster. Right. And be more well off, right. And how there's almost a need to it. Like the system is so rigged that you have to break rules, otherwise you can't feed your family. Right. Like stuff like that, basic stuff you can't have, and that's how societies that have a massive poverty, a massive population of poverty, living in poverty. It's crazy. I saw a report one time showing the richest people in India, because there's some rich people in India. Yeah. Like really rich, and they showed this. They were interviewing this like billionaire, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I live in India. Like, let me show off my cars." And he's talking about all his Lamborghinis. And he's like, "I got this Lamborghini, this Lamborghini, this Lamborghini." And the reporter turns and he turns to the camera guy and he's like, "Yeah, but literally your backyard, is the slums." Yeah. And he pans over and then he goes over to the slums, and it's like, yo, it's crazy how income discrepancy is one of the highest in India out of any other country, because it has the richest of the richest of the richest people on the planet, like Forbes top 10 type people, and it also has the poorest of the poorest of the poorest, and how they're literally next door to each other, and how coming out of the club on a Tuesday night, turning up, and you walk out of the club and there's people sleeping on the streets, and you literally can't even see the street because it's covered in people. Like that's how a lot of what India is, and a lot of, I forget where they're at. I don't know if it's Mumbai or, I think it's Mumbai, of where they're at, kind of has that effect, showing you the discrepancy of poverty, basically. Right. So it's very open about that, and I'm assuming that's not something that all Indians want to see on film, but at the same time, it celebrates the Indian culture and the Indian lifestyle when it comes to their passion and joy for arts and for film and for music, because it's still one of, if not the biggest film culture on the planet.
Bollywood is the biggest industry in the world. Yeah,
Bollywood is huge.
Next to Hollywood.
Yeah, if you see the top 10, I think it might be bigger. If you see the top 10 paid actors in general, every time I go to that list, the Forbes list, I saw it. It came out like 2-3 weeks ago. Sure enough, out of the top 10, there's like 3 or 4 Indian actors who just make Bollywood movies. So you see names like Robert Downey Jr., The Rock, George Clooney, and then next on the list, you see a bunch of like Bollywood actors, because they make so much money. It's a huge, huge market. So it's very interesting because we see the Indian culture very much in the spotlight and in the media because of Bollywood. So it has the positive and also the negative of what happens during a culture. But this is obviously one of your favorite movies of all time. So I'll give you the last word, RB3.
Nah, I mean, there's nothing really more to say about it. I love the ideas that it presents about the mockery that kind of the TV spectacle is to a certain extent. Sure. How much of a jury rig it really is. How much game shows. And really games in general, like gambling, I think most people don't understand. Gambling is designed for people not to win. You know what I mean? Like the whole point of a slot machine is to statistically have one winner per every 1.7 million, whatever, you know? So I think that's what it kind of highlights in its pageantry, or the presentation of the pageantry of the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire show, but then the reality behind it is just a bunch of scummy people like really testing this guy. And excuse me. Ironic that in the end he ends up winning the entire tournament, not from something I knew as a child, but he just couldn't remember. And it was just like taken off of good luck and good faith. And I think this movie is a very, very much a movie about, like you said, religion and faith as well. One of the last lines in the movies before the big moment is "May God be with you," that Frida Pinto says to Dave Patel on the phone. So it's very much about religion. And also I just love the Bollywood influence and style that it has as well. Like we said, the hyperkinetic energy is just something that Boyle is familiar with. So it has a little bit of cheesy factor too. It has the dance sequence at the end, which I think is amazing. And which I guess apparently I read was originally to a completely different song. And then they had they had like re-edited it to make the J-Ho song. Yeah. And I guess it was supposed to happen like not during the end credits. It was just supposed to end the film and then credits, but they made an end credit sequence. So, it's a great movie. And first time I remember hearing MIA's "Paper Planes" in a movie.
Oh, that's right,
yeah.
Dude. MIA is one of my favorite rappers. I know that's a bold statement, but I love MIA, dude. I actually get her albums and stuff and keep up with her because I really do feel like she's underrated as far as rappers go. Shout out to MIA. You're right. That's such a dope scene in the movie too.
Yeah, when they're on the train, hopping to different parts. of
India. That's super freaking dope. Also, I forgot Dev Patel, man.
Yeah,
this is his first film, I believe.
Yeah,
and he killed it.
Yeah,
killed it. I still feel like he should get more work too.
Yeah.
Because he was in Newsroom, which I've talked about
Newsroom's
a lot about.
Show, yeah.
I love Newsroom, man.
Yeah.
And he's dope in Newsroom too.
Yeah.
I remember
back to our Aaron Sorkin episode.
That's right. Yeah. Either way, Dev Patel. Shout out to Dev Patel.
Aaron Sorkin, Danny Boyle, Dev Patel, Steve Jobs. Wait a minute. Are we crossing beams or what's happening?
That's gonna be
Touching
our
tips.
whole podcast. He was also in this movie. His wife has a kid.
Wait,
Just
wait
keep
a
going.
Minute. Yeah, let's keep.
Who's friends with? Who grew up with?
Yeah.
Either way, let's move on to his next film, which came out in 2010, and that is 127 Hours.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of actors, Mr. James Franco, man.
Wow.
James Franco essentially pulls a Castaway and does an entire movie, basically him carrying the entire movie.
Yeah.
And a story that is based in real life.
Yeah.
It's a real life, true event that actually happened to this rock climber getting stuck in the worst situation you can possibly be in. It's horrifying. Mm-hmm. This movie almost at times feels like a horror movie. Mm-hmm. Either way, what is your connection to this movie, RB3?
My connection to this movie, I distinctly remember watching this movie. When I was in middle school, I took a trip to Turkey, the country of Turkey, Istanbul.
You went to Turkey?
Yeah.
What the frick, dude?
Yeah, it was a weird.
That's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know how cool it is now because Turkey's like in a civil war.
Yeah.
Like now, but
either way, you were in a Bond film.
I was in the Bond.
Is that Skyfall, right?
Yeah,
it starts out in Istanbul.
Yeah.
The motorcycle chase.
I think so. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good stuff there. I didn't go to that particular train
location.
Track, yeah. It was actually.
Damn man, I haven't even been to Sacramento or San Francisco or New York.
Oh man, I've never been to New York.
And you're freaking in Turkey, man.
Yeah,
I swear, I talked to everyone in LA, and everyone's like, how can you not have been to this? And I'm like, bro, I've lived in my spot, and that's it.
And
then South America, obviously, but that's it.
Yeah, I don't go to a lot of places. Turkey's really the only place
that's cool though.
Outside of Mexico to have other countries, you know. But that was funny. Because it was for a math and science competition out there in middle school. But I was flying back, and it's like an 18-hour flight. And that was the first time I discovered, oh, shit, they got movies on planes. So I literally ended up watching 127 Hours, Black Swan.
For the first time?
For the first time, all these movies. Because this was right it must have been like right before or like right during the Oscar season. So they weren't in theaters, but they weren't available for home video. Oh. But like it was like prime opportunity for me to watch it for free. So
how old were you?
She was like 13, 14, something like that. Yeah.
8 years ago?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
dang,
14.
Man.
Yeah, 13. Yeah, but yeah, I watched those movies on that plane.
That's kind of intense for a 13-year-old. Black Swan and 127 Hours.
Yeah, I mean, I had a mature palate.
Okay.
But like, no, they both disturbed the fuck out of me. Like both.
I was gonna say, man, when I was 13, you have a mature. I did not have a mature. I did. Everyone asked me, it's like, oh, what was a movie that really got? It's like way. It's probably The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Like when I was 13, I'm like, where the guns though? Like this movie sucks. Where's the explosions at?
yeah. Nah,
like that's my mentality watching the movie as a kid.
Yeah, nah, I feel you.
So that's crazy, man.
Yeah, that movie was. Yeah. So
And what was your first reaction to the movie?
I really hated it. I hated it the second I like stopped watching it. Yeah.
Wow. What are your thoughts now?
Well, I mean, it's not a particularly enjoyable experience. Like I think it's the difference between a bad movie and just a movie you don't enjoy, right? Like I can never watch this movie again, like after watching it the first time, because it's just so brutal, so intense. And really not even the entire movie. I just think the one scene of the arm cutting will never attract me to ever watch that movie ever again. You know what I mean? Because that scene is brutal. That is a brutal scene. And I remember that was like part of the whole marketing for this movie, right? The whole marketing for this movie was see the crazy arm, scene,
Watch this guy slowly chop his arm off in the most excruciating way possible.
Yeah. Nah, I really, that was like the end all be all for me. Like, nah, I'm not.
My follow-up question. Yeah. If you were in that same situation, because that's the whole point of the movie. The whole point of the movie is to basically ask yourself, would you do the same thing?
No, man. I don't think I would.
You would stay out there and starve to death, and you think that's a better way to die? Starving to death?
I don't know if it's a better way to die,
or being dehydrated, or that's an awful way to die, RB3.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, y'all need to stop like with all this hiking bullshit, man. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, y'all need to stay y'all asses at home, safe, at the park, something. You know what I mean? Like,
you're in LA, man.
Yeah.
People out here hike like it's eating breakfast, man.
Yeah, nah, y'all tripping. Get away from them snakes, them deers. Like, just go on and walk around like, Griffith Park or some shit like that. That's all you gotta do.
That's like your first recommendation to white people?
Yeah. Take a boat ride or something. Like, don't go fucking hiking. Or what was he doing? Rock climbing?
Rock climbing.
What the fuck you doing rock climbing, man? What's wrong with you? Like, so no, don't do it. And so I would never be in that situation to begin with. Like,
have you seen The Descent?
Descent, yeah, I've seen that movie. Yeah.
Spelunking.
Yeah.
Why?
Spelunking. Yeah, why would you spelunk?
Why would you go into, let's go inside this crazy cave and be in a very small claustrophobic place with no light and completely isolated from the rest of the world.
Sounds like those Thailand kids practicing
I was like,
soccer.
Why? I can't lie, man. The whole time I was watching Descent, I was like, why?
Yeah.
Why? For everything. They're like, let's go inside. Why?
Yeah.
Let's climb the cave. It's cool. Why is it cool?
Yeah.
Because it's daring and it's adventurous and it risks your life. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why you don't do it. Because it's like, why? It's the most like, and I know I'm going to sound pretentious as I say this, but it's the most pretentious activity to do, right? Because it's like the type of people.
Just the name sounds wild. Like, I'm going to go spelunking today.
Man, you got to be a 1%er if you're doing this for fun.
Yeah, if you're going out of your
crazy
way.
Rich people, bored rich people.
Yeah, crazy rich white people. Man, we gotta make that movie where they just go spelunking.
Or they're just like, I don't know what to do, man. It's kind of boring to just watch. Let's go spelunk. Let's risk our lives.
Yo, if somebody tells me we're going spelunking today, I'm gonna be like, no, I'm not going.
No, we're not.
That sounds crazy. You don't even have to explain to me what spelunking is.
We're going to the park.
Yeah, no,
we're going to the movies.
We're going to the park, the movies. It's the only places to hang out, people.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you want to do? I'm going to the mall. Mm-hmm. Those are my 3 things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Poor wife of mine. Cause she's going to be so bored. You want to do some crazy? Nah, let's just stay inside and watch Netflix. Either way, you're right. It is kind of a terrifying movie, and it doesn't make you feel very good, especially throughout that scene. And it's one of those things, too, where it's something like The Walking Dead, which has 2 scenes. You didn't see... Did you see it? The Herschel leg cutting scene? Spoilers. It's not really a spoiler. It happened season 3, I think.
No, I don't think I stayed around that long.
Yeah, Herschel gets his leg chopped off by Rick when he gets the bite on his calf, and Rick has to chop off his leg. Oh, it's brutal. You're like, no, please don't do it. Or another scene where Rick finds a survivor. Oh yeah, season 2. I think it's season 2. Remember the guy who gets stuck on the fence? His leg is stuck on the fence.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he's like, oh crap, he's stuck, and the walkers are coming. What do? Do you let him get eaten by walkers slowly as he's stuck on the fence, or do you do the humane thing, RB3? The humane and correct, the godly decision.
The framing here.
It's godly, it's holy to chop a guy's leg off.
Oh man, Jesus Christ.
What's better, chop your leg off or get slowly eaten by zombies?
Hey, I tell you what, if somebody else cut my leg off, bro, I'll be mad as fuck. Like.
I'm telling you, man, that's my number one pet peeve with The Walking Dead. My number one pet peeve, and there's a lot of pet peeves during The Walking Dead, but my number one pet peeve is when people are getting eaten by zombies. Why does someone not have the mercy, the godliness, the blessingness, the righteousness to do the right thing and kill you?
Yeah, take you out of misery.
Right?
Yeah.
Isn't that the most, like, every time I see The Walking Dead, like, there was one when the guy was stuck on the fence and Michonne was just staring at him, and they just stare, kill me, and they're just like, and it's, please, it's like, kill him, please.
Yeah.
I would be begging you to kill me, and they're just like staring, and they're like, man, I feel really bad for that guy. It's like, what do you mean? You could just shoot him in the head. You can just stab him in the face and end him from like a 4-hour destruction of where you're going to slowly get eaten for 4 hours.
Infinity War is crueler to his characters than The Walking Dead is, it looks like. At least Infinity War actually kills people. It actually makes people, oh my God, I have to kill my best friend. Oh, fuck. Oh, I guess I gotta do it.
Yeah,
stupid bubbles.
I'm the same way, man. I mean, call me cold. I just talked about the Chris Evans character when it's like, we can't survive, but we have to kill. Oh, who do we have to? This guy. All right, it's just like that's my mentality.
Jesus Christ, you just shake him.
I swear, I'm a thug when it comes to that.
Hey,
shit.
buddy.
Damn, like Shane in season 2.
Yeah,
where he's like, one of us is gonna survive. I would have done that a long time ago. Yeah. Remember when Shane shoots the guy?
Honestly, I don't remember, bro. I saw that
so
show
basically,
it's
Carl is dying because he got shot, and Shane and the other guy they just met, it's a chubby homie. He's a bigger dude, and it's like they're running away from the walkers, and he's like, "Dude, I'm faster than you," and he shoots the guy in the leg, and he pieces out.
That's fucked up.
It's so messed up, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I probably would have done.
That's fucked up.
I would have killed, like, you're running with your homie. And you're like, one of us is gonna survive. Oh, peace, bro.
Damn, that's horrible. Yo, Ace,
if you and I were running,
yeah, bro,
and I was limping because I can't make it,
yeah,
and we're running from a horde of zombies, and I have a broken leg, and you're trying to carry me, and you know that either both of us is gonna die or you're gonna get away. What would you do, RB3?
I'm letting us both rock out to the sunset, man.
Rock out by getting slowly eaten.
Hey, man. I mean, I'm not gonna.
You're gonna let me live, RB3?
I'm not gonna take your life, brother. You know. No, I'm sorry, man. If that makes me a bad friend, but I'm not
that makes you a good friend.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Come on,
good, dog.
Either way,
we're surviving this together. We're gonna be like Samuel Jackson and Walton Goggins at the end of Hateful Eight.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah.
Slowly
Come
dying
on, man.
together.
Don't compare me to Walton Goggins from Hateful Eight.
Bro, we'll be hey man, I'm comparing you to Samuel Jackson. What about that? Yeah. Is that racist, Ace? Is that acist?
I'm the crazy racist sheriff guy who comes into the salon or whatever.
Yeah.
Either way, my point is limb cutting off limbs, whether it's your leg, your arm, your whatever it is very, very hard to watch.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. And I thought it was very effective that they used the chainsaw sound effect when he was like getting at like that one like fucking thing. I was like, oh fuck, like that's what really made me like, oh god.
Oh yeah, covering your eyes. Yeah. Oh hell yeah. Hell yeah. It's classic. You got to cover your eyes.
I was covering my eyes. I shouldn't be covering my ears.
Have you seen Hereditary yet?
Nah, hell no. I haven't seen that shit.
Man, I can't lie. There was moments where I was like, I'm a grown man, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna cover my eyes. See, it's like my hands are going up and towards. I'm gonna do it. I gotta do it. Either this or sleepless nights for 4 weeks.
Hey man, see you tell me this, and then you tell me every week you gotta see Hereditary, man. You gotta see Hereditary. Nah, man,
you're right. It is kind of like Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah,
where you're like, watch Hereditary if you want to have your soul burn in a pit of misery for the next 2 hours.
Yeah, nah, and I don't want my.
But
my
I still
soul,
10 out of 10.
Yeah, nah, I don't want my soul burning in misery like at the moment.
10 out of 10, highly recommend.
So it's already burning. I can't add any more fire to the flame.
I've been telling my brother too, because he's like, "Oh, it's a good movie," and I'm like, "Yeah." If you want to be slowly lowered into a pit of misery for 2 hours, it's a great movie.
That's how it goes sometimes, man. That's how it goes.
Sometimes you got to do it, man. You got to dive in.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the close your eyes during people cutting off their limbs and legs and arms, and I can't, man. I can't handle it. Going through bone and oh man. Either way, James Franco got an Oscar nom for this.
Yeah.
And he was hosting the Oscars that he got nominated for with Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway. Let's go.
It was the best legendary Oscar
best combo of all time. Let's go. Man,
this is the GOAT of Oscars, man.
Yeah.
This is the I'm going to let you finish, but Anne Hathaway and James Franco had the best hosting Oscars of all time.
Yeah.
They're like, Billy Crystal, I'm going to let you finish.
But
James Franco and Anne Hathaway gave the greatest hosting job of all time.
What kind of shit was that? Why were they two? Like, what made them pick those two? Like, the ugliest guy in Hollywood and most, like, pristine, like, nice looking, actress.
Sweet.
Yeah, sweet. She was nominated
Princess Diary girl.
Wasn't she nominated that year, too, for, like, Love and Other Drugs or something like that?
Oh, wasn't it Les Miserables or no?
Nah, Les Mis was 2012.
You're right.
Or the 2013 Oscars.
I forget, man.
She might be nominated for a Golden Globe for Love and Other Drugs with Jake Gyllenhaal, which is also another great director. We gotta do Edwards Wicks.
What else did he do?
He did what was the one Tom Cruise movie where he plays the white savior?
Oh, Last Samurai.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we gotta do him one day.
Either way, I still remember watching the Oscars live during this time and watching them go 127 hours. James Franco, and he's like in the backstage, and he's like, "That's me. I'm hosting the Oscars, and I'm nominated." It's kind of weird.
Yeah, he was drunk.
You can do it.
He didn't care,
He didn't care.
Yeah.
It's very true. And now James Franco is doing well. Ooh, yikes.
Ooh, brother.
Whoops.
Hey.
Whoops.
Disaster Artist still got.
Because we saw that movie together too.
Yeah, we did.
What was it called?
Disaster Artist? Yeah.
No. The other one that James Franco did. What did you say?
Tommy Wiseau?
Yes.
Disaster Artist.
Disaster Artist.
Yeah,
dude, I can't. You're talking so fast.
Oh, my bad.
I thought you said something else.
The Disaster Artist.
There you go. Yeah, Disaster Artist.
All
we saw that.
My bad.
And you were underwhelmed, RB3.
I was a little underwhelmed, yeah.
Yeah, even though you were cracking up the whole time right next to me.
Oh, yeah, it was kind of funny.
Yeah. Either way, 127 hours got him an Oscar nomination.
Yeah.
He did a live stage production of Frankenstein starring Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh.
Have you seen this, RB3?
No. Do you think I go to the stage? Or... I don't know what kind of question.
Apparently, it was released in a few cinemas, like Danny Boyle says.
Cinemas, and I don't watch.
The following.
Was this Trance?
The following is the 2012 opening for the London Olympics.
Oh, wow.
And I'm going to tell you right now, RB3, this is my segment right here.
Okay.
Because I told you in a few other episodes, but the Olympics in my household is like gold. It's like holiness. Like my family and I, like we get the popcorn ready. We start prepping each other. We have like a countdown on the calendars.
Oh, shit.
Like the Olympics is a big deal in my household. And we were hyped for the 2012 opening ceremony, and we watched the whole thing. It's like tradition. Even like the freaking the one in Korea, the Winter Olympics that just took place. Yeah. My mom and I were like texting back and forth because we were watching it at the same time. And we're like, yo, this is crazy. Like every time we watch the opening for the Olympics, and we take it very seriously. It's an art form, RB3, because it really is an art form. And we have like commentary on it. It's like what we think of the outfits, what we think of the performance, what we think of what's going on and what it represents for that country. Because we're obsessed with like, I've told you before, but I'm like obsessed with like cultures in different countries, and that's why I want to travel the world. Right. I'm not as cool as you traveling to freaking Istanbul, but I'm obsessed with like different cultures, and my whole family is. Yeah. So we always pay attention to what's the cultural aspect that they're saying for the 2008 Chinese Olympics in Beijing, or the 2012, or the 2016 Rio one, and we all watch it like religiously. And I remember watching this 2012 one, and I was like, "This is dope." Like they have so many different themes.
Jumping out of the parachute.
Me being the big Bond fan, my family and I were freaking out because we all love Bond, and we love Daniel Craig's Bond too. Like my family was freaking out during this opening, and also our obsession with like British dramas and like British historical stuff that we think is like the coolest stuff. And the fact that Britain has, England has history, man. Some good, some bad, but it has a ton of history versus a country obviously like America where it doesn't, we didn't really do much back in the day, but England goes way, way, way back.
Only about 200 years deep, 300 years deep.
Yeah.
Like that.
Versus something like England, which has got, ties to super old times.
Yeah.
And they basically run a historical aspect of it. Think about it. When it comes to books, movies, music, especially music, right? What have the British people have done with music is phenomenal. It's incredible. The Beatles, the punk rock music, the whatever it is, the expansion that they have and all the artists that they have. It's very competitive when it comes to American music, which is another art form that is, a ton of people do it. And it's basically a summary of all this catered around a love story between two young people like you, RB3, a young person.
Oh my gosh.
So it's an actual narrative that is happening during these opening ceremonies. Mr. RB3, have you seen the 2012 London opening ceremony?
I've seen clips. I watched the whole thing.
Come on, man.
I'm not big Olympics guy, so I don't really know.
Yeah.
When they kind of come on TV, I just kind of tune in.
Yeah.
But it was a good show.
Man, the art form.
It was the Summer Olympics.
Right?
Summer Olympics. I saw the helicopter, saw the parachute, saw James Bond come out, Daniel Craig. So I thought for sure we were gonna get the Craig Bond.
Come on, man.
Danny Boyle collaboration.
That's your only connection to it. Come on. Give me something good, man. Give me a thought. Hot thought.
Hot thought. I'm not gonna support the NFL, but that has nothing to do with the Olympics. I said that last week. Somebody.
Not me. I'm there week 1, bro.
Hey, somebody tried to get
I'm
my
waving
ass.
my NFL flag.
Nah, hell no. I'm sorry, y'all.
I'm gonna watch every game on Sunday.
Nah, fuck that shit. We're not watching any football, man. There's no football. We gotta take a principled stance. Hey, salute to Nike too for giving Colin Kaepernick a deal.
Yeah.
Salute to Nike.
Nike, doing the Lord's work.
Yeah.
They still got those sweatshops though.
Yeah, well, we gotta clean up the conditions here.
One thing at a time, RB.
Yeah, we gotta clean up. We gotta do one thing here. We got first address the rich celebrity that hasn't gotten paid in a while. We have to address that first, and then the children who are working for 2 cents.
I guess so, RB3.
Yeah.
I suppose so.
Yeah.
Either way, I was a big fan of this opening ceremony. I really do feel like there is a very specific art form when it comes to opening ceremony type stuff. It's not similar, but almost similar to like Super Bowl halftime shows where you're trying to not just put on music, but put on like stage production value. So there is an actual art form to it. And I personally think Danny Boyle killed it.
Yeah.
So
that's what's up.
There you go. That's my hot take.
Hey.
He killed it.
You killed it.
So controversial.
Yeah, controversy.
The guy who plays the love interest in this opening ceremony looks like a lot like Dorian.
Dorian? Really?
Dorian Parks?
Yeah.
Yeah, looks just like him, dude. It's like a tall, super skinny, super lanky guy with dreads. And I was like, this looks just like Dorian. So shout out to Dorian, man.
Shout out to Dorian.
Doing the social media work at Collider.
I want to say we should get him on this podcast, but I don't know if he watches any movies.
Ooh, man. That's not fires, man. That's straight up like bazookas.
Oh no, that's not straight up like I'm not taking the shot at him.
That's a nuclear bomb. Come on, man.
They're exploiting that mug on Collider Live. I saw them clips.
Oh,
I saw the clip.
Trash, man. Trash.
Yeah, man. No Back to the Future. Dorian, we have to have a real conversation. He's actually my homie, man. He's actually my homie. One of my buddies in one of my film school classes did internship with Dorian, so I knew him inadvertently.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, very small
Dang,
world.
man. All these children doing some
Children,
big
man.
stuff.
Dorian's only 2 years older than me, man.
Come on, man. Come on. Trance is the next movie
Woo!
on this list.
James McAvoy, Rosario Dawson.
McAvoy.
Yeah.
That's a guy. That's an underrated actor right there, man.
Mm-hmm.
Underrated actor because RB3's favorite movie was Split.
Oh, I don't know about that.
You loved Split, man.
McAvoy was great in that movie, though. Great performance in that film. He did a great job.
Yeah, you're not as big a fan as the Wingers are.
No, absolutely not. I
Split.
think that movie's mostly garbage.
Really?
Mostly.
Dang.
Yeah, not mostly.
You're calling out the great M. Night Shyamalan.
Nah, man, great my ass. But Unbreakable is one of the best motion pictures
There you go.
of all time. At least superhero motion pictures, and Sixth Sense is dope as well. Science is dope too.
Dude, James McAvoy is such a good actor.
Yeah.
He's so good, and he's so good in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing that, to me, that stands out to this in this movie the most is his performance.
Yeah.
He's so freaking dope in this movie, going through all the different emotions and all the different thoughts that go through his head and the twists that happen in this movie. To me, I feel like the majority of the positive I have for this movie is mainly James McAvoy's performance, and obviously Rosario Dawson. But James McAvoy, to me, carries this movie quite a bit. The rest of the movie is kind of okay. It's not great.
Yeah, it's a little shaky.
It's a little shaky. It's a little too twisty, in my opinion, if that's possible.
Well, I think it definitely, to me at least, like one of the, I don't say one of the influences per se, but I think one of the connections that I make to my mind is one of Steven Soderbergh's earlier movies. I think it's called The Lemon, which came out in 1999, which is a movie is edited in such a way where sometimes scenes will start before they actually start. And when I say that, like, you'll start hearing the audio from the next scene before the visuals start getting to it. So by the time you're in the next scene, you're already halfway there, you know? So it's a little tricky in terms of like the storytelling. And I think this movie kind of adapts like the weirdness of the form, right? Like making it so like, I guess, I don't know if it like non-linear is the right word to say, but like make it so under revealing to where every reveal is a moment, you know, to where everything is a moment. So I don't know if, you know, I think that's just the way I kind of, you know.
So overall, are you like a fan of this movie?
I mean, it's cool experience. Yeah. You can never go wrong for Rosario Dawson, especially.
Yeah. She's a very good actress.
She's a great actress. And
Claire in the Netflix shows.
Yeah, Claire in Netflix shows. He Got Game.
She's Luke Cage's girl.
Luke Cage. Hey, man, Luke Cage. Salute to Luke Cage. Salute to Mike Coulter.
Are you still watching Luke Cage?
No. I don't watch any Netflix shows. Or any Netflix Marvel shows.
But you're going to see Iron Fist when that comes out next week.
Oh, boy. I cannot wait for Iron Fist this week.
Season 2, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, man. That just sounds like a great old Ewan time. Ewan.
13 episodes, an hour each. Oh.
Yeah. Hey, by the way,
I swear, I'm going to interrupt you. But if Netflix Marvel did 8 episodes, like Stranger Things, it already would be 10 times better.
Nah, Defenders was 8 episodes and that shit was trash. Are you kidding me? It just don't work.
For me, it's like 13 episodes. Oh,
yeah.
It's too much.
I was gonna say like Netflix gotta stay with the business model of 10. Because I was watching that Disenchantment show, and I've seen that. So I saw it in the background. So like my roommate's watching it.
Disenchantment.
It just came out. It's with it's from Matt Gogan, the guy who did Simpsons, who created Simpsons and Futurama.
Yeah. I was just talking about that, man. Yeah. So check this out. A buddy of mine is a writer. I have a connection to that. Funny enough, you're saying my buddy of mine is a writer, and he's been going to like different studios and pitching a show idea that he had, and it's literally that show. It's the idea of like a medieval fantasy type comedy type animated type show. And he keeps pitching it, and all the studios he was telling me the story of like all these studios were like, oh, it sounds cool, but it's so similar to what's coming out on Netflix. And this was years ago when he was telling me this story. And sure enough, it came out. And I was like, oh, that's the show that he was telling me about that is super similar to what he already wrote. How is it? I don't even know how it is.
It's a pretty good show. It's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it's very much like how Futurama is like the spoof for the sci-fi. This is the exact thing, but for fantasy.
That was his pitch. That was his log line. My buddy's log line. He's a great writer. Shout out to Tom Major, who's a great guy, great writer. I've been working on different sets with him for years, and he had the exact same thing. It's like the Futurama version, but and he was like, "Dang it, man! This would have been a good idea if I came up with it first."
Yeah,
but they came up with the idea before him. So,
and it's literally the guy who did Futurama, so of course it has a little bit. Yeah, but it's the exact same, like tonically. Yeah, like it's like
animation style. Yeah, I've seen the trailer. Yeah,
imagine Shrek as a TV show. That's what that show is.
Yep. Yeah, that's great. Man. Netflix, man. You gotta
Netflix.
Try something different with the Marvel shows. So.
They spend
because I was with you on Jessica Jones, and then Jessica Jones season 2 came out, and I was like, oh, here we go again. I love Jessica Jones.
Yeah, I like the first one, and I like the first season of Luke Cage. First 2 seasons.
First season of Luke Cage. I mean, actually, I told you that. Yeah. With Luke Cage. First 5 episodes of Luke Cage. Okay, good. Everything else.
All of us great.
Oh, as soon as Mahershala was gone, I was like, I'm gone.
Hey, man.
Either way,
he was too busy winning Oscars.
Daredevil season 1, Daredevil season 2, Jessica Jones season 1. Dopeness.
Yeah. Oh, dope. And Luke Cage season 1 too. And but all the other shows awful.
Rosario Dawson, Claire.
Yeah, but Netflix spends something like $10 billion a year on content or some shit like that. They spend more than most of the studios.
Oh yeah,
on TV shows.
Freaking tossing money like it's nothing.
Yeah, man.
Either way, my biggest takeaway from Trance was James McAvoy. The idea of paint stealing, of like a heist movie around stealing very expensive paintings. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Paints. Sherman Williams is still at Home Depot. Just ran out with a bunch of paint.
Yeah.
Yeah, that idea is kind of cool. My brother did a short film on painting thieves.
Right.
And how they go into this like art exhibit that is like for super fancy rich people, and they have like thieves trying to steal the painting and sell it and resell it and make a ton of money. Mm-hmm. My brother actually made a short film about this a few years ago, and I was telling him, I was like, oh, watch Trance. Because Trance, I just saw this movie Trance, because I saw this like way after theaters.
Right.
Because it has a similar premise, just to see what it came about. But yeah, I like the premise. I just feel like the conclusion is a little meh for me. Just similar to Sunshine, where I love the first 2 acts, but the third I'm like, meh. It's a little too twisty for me. Now, let's get to Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Because this one, we're going to rank him afterwards, because I just want to do that real quick. But Steve Jobs is probably my favorite, one of my favorites. I would put it in my top 3 movies. And I really feel like the direction of this movie is underrated, because guess who gets all the credit?
Aaron Sorkin.
Who we did talk about. Go check out our Aaron Sorkin episode, which I feel like is a very good episode on RB3. So people should go back and check it out. Either way, would you say it's fair to say he does get kind of all the credit for this movie? Besides Danny Boyle? Because remember the director entanglement?
It was originally Fincher.
It was going to be Fincher. This was going back and forth. People were trying to get the script going. They were doing another Jobs movie with, what's his name? Aaron Ashmore?
Ashton Kutcher. Who the fuck is Aaron Ashmore?
Aaron Ashmore plays Jimmy on Smallville.
The fact that you knew that shit fucking kills me.
Yeah, he plays Jimmy, and he has a twin brother who's also in the movie. In fact, I might be confusing them. So who knows? Either way, Ashton Kutcher, there was like a huge debacle about this Aaron Sorkin script, because he was trying forever to get it made and pitching it to different studios. The Sony hack was another huge part of this too. Leonardo DiCaprio, Christian Bale, like all these different casting decisions. And when they finally said, well, Michael Fassbender said yes, and he just killed it. I'm telling you right now, and I said it before, I'll say it again, he deserved that Oscar over Leo in The Revenant.
Yeah, I agree.
Michael Fassbender and Steve Jobs gave a better performance than Leonardo DiCaprio in The Revenant. Different types of acting, but I still give it to Jobs. Yeah. And I still give it to Fassbender, who killed it in this movie and who memorized a shit ton of dialogue.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the lines in this movie are crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. But either way, the film plays out in 3 points of time with 3-act structure and 3 different distinct launches of a different Apple product.
Yeah.
What do you think of this movie, RB3?
Well, like I said in the Aaron Sorkin episode, I'm a big fan of this movie. I think this is one of the better biopics, and I think it's a good successor to The Social Network, which I've said repeatedly is one of my favorite. This is one of the movies that inspired me to really pursue filmmaking, and I think this movie is almost a good successor to that in the sense that it's, Fincher's style is very quiet and very mature and very like centered and concentrated, whereas Danny Boyle's style is a lot more flamboyant and a lot more over the top. Like I always think back to one of the most visually stunning scenes in the movie is when Kate Winslet's character is having a conversation with Jobs, and like they're talking about rocket launches and all shit, and then all the walls like change into all these video images and all this stuff. The way the packages are cut together in between the launches, like how they have those little segments, those new segments, is also dope too. I think the decision to shoot the first part on 16 millimeter, second part on 35 millimeter, the last part on digital, all brilliant decisions to kind of allude in the changing times and kind of add to the subtle visual representations of advancing technology. So overall, I just think this movie's fantastic, and I think they achieve so much visually. I mean, one of my favorite scenes too is when Steve is like looking over, after he has that big blowout conversation with the dude he fired in the beginning. Which also the firing scene in the beginning is lit too, when it's like that circular shot around them. But also that scene like after he has the conversation with the other dude. Because they're I forget the actor he's in Rogen? Everything. No, the actor who's in like every Best Picture nominee.
Oh, Jeff Daniels.
No, you know what I'm talking about. Michael Stuhlbarg. Yeah, his character. After Michael Stuhlbarg and Steve Jobs have that like conversation with each other about the daughter, sending the daughter to college, and then Steve like looking over, like trying to like prepare for his presentation, but has those like little flashes when she was a kid and stuff. Very flamboyant, very out there, very much tells you in your face what this movie's about. But I love it.
What do you think of Seth Rogen as Wozniak?
Seth Rogen is amazing. I've always thought Seth Rogen is a
When
good
you heard
actor.
that casting, what did you think?
Well, I was familiar.
I loved it. I was like, that's dope.
Yeah,
casting.
yeah. Because everybody knows who Steve Jobs is, and most people know who Steve Wozniak is too.
Yeah.
So it was kind of fitting that like the bearded, kind of quiet white guy would be played by Seth Rogen, who's also kind of like but it's a little bit of a stretch for him too, because he has to do something more quiet, not comedic. And I think he's great. I think he's a great actor when he's not doing comedy.
Love when comedic actors who are known for comedies try dramatic roles, because it usually works out. For the most part, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
When that
50-50 was another great Seth Rogen.
50-50 is another one, yeah. But when comedic actors like Jim Carrey or something does something serious, you're like, yo, he's dope. Like, he's really good. Because I feel like comedy is like the first thing actors cater towards, and when they dive a little bit more deeper, trying dramatic roles is so fun. I mean, think about it. Actors nowadays, the reason why comedies are something actors try to get into a little bit more is because if you can dominate that. I was telling you before we went on the mic about comedies and comedians and people who are funny, naturally funny, already are way ahead of the game. Because then learning the dramatic side and all that stuff is very possible, versus being naturally funny is much more difficult, because like the word says, it's naturally funny versus someone who's naturally dramatic. Like most people are naturally dramatic,
right?
Versus comedy being very quick to them is a skill that is being used a lot nowadays, especially with more improv on set. Right. So yeah, shout out to Seth Rogen, who's only in for like one scene, right?
Or like for like 3 scenes, yeah. Like
either way,
scenes, something like that.
And Jeff Daniels, who plays
Jeff Daniels is great in this too.
Oh, I love Jeff Daniels. Shout out to Newsroom.
Yeah,
there you go, another connection.
Another Newsroom
what
connection,
Jeff Patel? What? We already did this.
Yeah.
Either way, for me, we talked about James Franco. We talked about James McAvoy. Michael Fassbender is another guy who just carries this movie on his back and just says, "This is my movie," and it goes ham. and he's another guy who I feel like he's one of my favorite actors. Working, we talked about it when it came to Hunger. Is that the movie? Hunger, right?
Oh, Steve McQueen, yeah.
Hunger and Shame.
Yeah.
I talked about my love of Michael Fassbender.
Yeah.
And how I still think he's one of the best working actors today in Hollywood. I don't know if you agree with that, RB3.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's a great actor.
Hey, I just said top 3 or nah, bro.
That's a lot to ask for me right now.
Top 3 working actors in Hollywood today.
He's great. But you know,
ready, set, go.
Oh, I don't know about that. I can't put that out there just without thinking about it. But I will say he did embody Steve Jobs very well, to the point to where I think a lot of people recognize that part. You know, a lot of people, I think mostly because we know who Steve Jobs is before, but a lot of people recognize that as, the definitive over the Ashton Kutcher performance. And I think it's very dope that, I think it's very interesting that they made the decision to do the 3-act structure thing, because it sets apart from other biopics on a content level where it kind of summarizes all the information into one. But the book that this is based on, the Jobs book, is actually a great book that people ever want to check that out.
Another buddy of mine was talking about it, but I've heard you mention it before too.
Yeah, it goes very deep into the history and the attitude changes and shifts of Steve Jobs and how he was as a leader and stuff like that.
Do you think this movie is more an Aaron Sorkin movie or more a Danny Boyle movie? If you had to pick one.
Well, I mean, if I had to pick one, I think it's a good mixture of both. I don't think any Aaron Sorkin movie is really anything without the director. It's like, I think if a good Aaron Sorkin script is handed to a bad director, like, it's gonna be a bad movie. Do
you feel like Fincher's Social Network is very different from everything else Fincher did?
Yeah, but I think,
give credit to Sorkin for that.
Well, no, I think it's the same stylistically. Like, I think Social Network allowed David Fincher to debut like a new kind of style, because before that, well, I guess Zodiac kind of had that style too, the digital kind of slow moving kind of pace style, but I think the Social Network really maximized that. So I think the style is continuous, and I think even to a certain extent, like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo has that too, right? The very, very, kind of quiet, very fast talking dialogue too. So I don't know, just I think Fincher put his own stamp, and I think Danny Boyle put a very firm stamp on this movie too. So,
and I really feel like I was preaching that during the Oscar time. I was like, dude, Danny Boyle needs more credit for this movie. Yeah, because everyone is like, Aaron Sorkin. I'm like, it's cool. It's a great script, but come on, man, Danny Boyle is clutch. Yeah, clutch.
And this movie would have been 10 times different if it was Fincher too. By the way, like,
if it was Fincher, times different. And also if it was a different Jobs. Personally, like, I can't see a Bale Jobs, but it's funny because
I can see that.
I can see it too, but it's funny because he looks more like the actual Steve Jobs than Michael Fassbender does. That was the biggest thing that everyone took away from this movie, was like, oh, he doesn't look at all like him, but he sure does embody him. Yeah. Because a lot of people were very critical of, like, well, he doesn't look like Steve Jobs though. Yeah. So, and I think that's such a personally, I feel like he doesn't look like the actual biography. Who cares, man? Like, if it kind of looks like him, I forgive it very quickly, especially if you embody the character. All right, RB3, it's that time. I said it would come. Now it's come.
Oh, wait.
What are your top 3 Danny Boyle movies?
Top 3? Oh, man, I should have thought about this.
Well, I'm just throwing it out there. I know. My bad. I should have told you beforehand.
Nah.
So you have
Slumdog Millionaire. I definitely would say Slumdog Millionaire is the top. Yeah, Slumdog Millionaire is the top because it's one of my favorites.
Number 2.
And then I guess Trainspotting, because, Trainspotting is an influential film. Very big impact. And I think there wouldn't be movies like In Bruges or whoever the guy is, Martin McDonagh.
Yeah, I wanted to do him too.
Yeah.
I was going to text you that if I wanted to do
Martin
episode.
McDonagh. Yeah. He only has 3 movies, so.
I know, which is kind of why I want to do him. Hey, man, it's hard work watching all these movies every night.
It's tough, man. So
number
3 would be Steve Jobs. And yeah.
Okay. I would go Slumdog Millionaire.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Barely.
Right.
Barely beating Steve Jobs. And then 28 Days Later.
28 Days Later. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
No Trainspotting. No Trance.
Definitely not Trance.
No The Beach. Do we even talk about The Beach?
We didn't talk about The Beach.
Hey, fuck it. All right, at the end of the show, so.
Leonardo DiCaprio on The Beach.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. No. movie about selfishness. I only saw that movie like half asleep, so I can't really like speak on that. So.
We forgot The Beach, and we forgot A Life Less Ordinary, which basically made no money.
Steve Jobs also made no money too. It was a big financial failure.
That's right, it is.
Yeah.
That's I completely forgot. And didn't it come out like September or something crazy?
Big Oscar push, yeah, it came out the end of September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming they wanted a better date than September, but they gave it to September, and usually it's got to be something really special. Like Black Mass came out in September, the Johnny Depp movie.
Yeah.
And they were like, Oscar, maybe, no.
But
okay.
that movie wasn't good besides the acting, though.
No, but I'm saying like Oscar pushes campaigns usually start in October.
Yeah.
So if you see
October is the prime spot.
It is. Yeah. October, November, December. But if you see a late September one that looks Oscar baity, you're usually like, I guess the studio kind of tried.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen the trailers for Operation Finale with Oscar Isaac and Ben Kingsley?
No, I haven't seen the trailers for that.
Right? Oh no, you saw it in Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh, did I? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I told you, I was like, it's like the first trailer I've seen, and it came out like last weekend.
Oh, okay. So, wow. Yeah, I didn't know anything about that, but
it looks Oscar baity, and at the same time, the studio has given like no ads for it till now, which is basically like, we tried for the Oscars, but we didn't. Not really.
I mean, I really think October is the time, because if a movie comes out in December, it really gotta be like the best movie of the year to like really.
I really feel like December is the best.
December,
I personally feel, or November, but I still give it to December.
I say November is better than December.
I feel like the later you are, the American Sniper, man. That's the perfect example. It basically came out.
But it didn't win. It didn't win anything.
Yeah, it won a ton, didn't it?
What did it win?
Like a bunch of tech awards.
It didn't win any tech awards. It might win like sound.
It gave Bradley Cooper an Oscar nomination.
A nomination, and I think that's where I think the end of the year really helps with the nominations. I think it ends with the nominations. That's what I'm saying. Not the wins though. I think if you come out earlier, like the wins tend to fall to the competitor that comes out earlier. You know what I mean? Like,
I feel like as late as you can go kind of benefits Oscars, which basically is like end of March now, beginning of April now. It's so late in the following year that it's almost like the later you are, the better. But then again, you never know.
Yeah, we talked about J.A. Bayona a couple weeks ago. His movie came out in December, Monster Calls, and nobody checked for it. I think that's the same thing that happened with Silence too, with Martin Scorsese. That movie came out in December, nobody checked for it. So
yeah, what happened to Silence?
Yeah.
Either way, guys, that is our episode on Danny Boyle. Shout out to David for telling us over and over again, we did it, David. Hopefully you are pleased with our performance on Danny Boyle, on our conversation. I'm sure you're going to have a lot to say in the comment section, because we better see a really long comment that I'll probably give a shout out to, but I won't read live. No, I'm kidding. I might read it. You never know, David.
Yeah.
Better be a good comment.
This dude got a David bias right now, man. Come on, Ace.
Either way, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed that conversation. Make sure and leave us a comment in the comment section down below. You never know, it could be read live on this show. Thank you for listening to the Meaning of Podcast. And I'm Ace.
This is RB3.
And we are peacing out. Peace out, guys.